x squared plus 6x plus 13 equals 0, we are going to solve it by using the quadratic equation because that is the only method that will work so far as we know it. First thing is to put it in standard form, or it's in descending order, and setting it equal to 0. This is already done for us. So step number 1, we do not have to worry about. Step number 2, we have to select the appropriate A, B, and C terms so we can put it into the quadratic formula. So my A term, it doesn't look like I have one, but remember we can always put a pretend 1 as our coefficient there. So my A is my 1 term. The B is the one in front of the x, so my B is my 6. And my C is my constant term. So my C is my 13 in this problem. So now I have my A, B, and C, and I need to plug it into that formula. Now, even though I have it written for you up there on the top, my suggestion to you is to write that formula and sing that song every time you need to use it. The more times that you do that, the easier you will have this formula memorized. So, here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now that I know my formula, I just have to plug in my appropriate terms. So I have x is equal to my negative b value. My b value is 6, plus or minus square root of b squared. Again, my b value is 6, so I need to square it. Minus 4 times my a value, which is 1, times c, which was given as 13. Now that is all divided by, or all over, 2 times my a value, which is 1. So again, a is 1, so I put it into my a places, which is here and here. My b is 6, so I put it into my b places, which is here and here. And my c is 13, so I plug it into my c places, which is just right here. And, of course, whatever your variable is the variable that you should be using over here. So I have everything plugged in appropriately, so let's just simplify. That's our step number 3. So we have x is equal to negative 6, I won't be able to do much with, plus or minus the square root. 6 squared is 6 times 6 to give us 36, minus 4 times 1 times 13. I can do this all at once because anything times 1 is itself. So really all I have to do is 4 times 13, which is 52. And then that is all over 2 times 1, which gives me 2. Okay, so just simplifying a little more, I have x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus square root 36 minus 52 simplifies as to negative 16, and then that is all over 2 still. Moving up here, because I'm running out of room, I have x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus. The square root of 16 gives me 4, and we learned in the last set of videos that the square root of negative is an I. And this is all over 2. Now, a mistake that students typically make is looking back at my previous steps. They see that we have a negative 6 divided by 2, and they want to try and cancel those out right away. Don't actually cancel those out there. You're going to wait till your very, very last step to cancel it out. Because not only do you need to cancel out this way, but you need to cancel out that way as well. So you need to cancel everything out with that too. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I'm going to split it up this way and I'm going to split it up that way. And that's going to emphasize that you have to divide everything by 2. So it's x equals negative 6 over 2 plus or minus my 4i over 2. So that gives me x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus 4 divided by 2 gives me 2, and then I just carry down my I. So my answer is x equals negative 3 plus or minus 2i. Or if it wants the solution set, then you put those two answers in the braces. Now, this is a grade 2 problem. You technically have two answers here, and the answer to that is yes. One of those being x is equal to negative 3 plus 2i, and the other one is x equals negative 3 minus 2i. So that plus or minus splits up your two answers. So we have solved this equation here. Now I'm going to go to my last example. I have example 5, but the reason that I'm jumping to this is because we solved this equation before. Remember, we solved this equation by using the factoring method, and we solved this equation by using the square root method. We can also solve this equation by using our quadratic formula method. So let's do it there, and I want to show you that we of course end up with the exact same answers no matter what method that we use. So first thing that we need to do here is set this equation equal to 0. So I need to move my 25 to the other side. So I have c squared minus 25 equals 0. Now this doesn't officially look like standard form because we're missing a term. We're missing our middle term here. But that's okay. It's still technically in standard form. Now I need to select my appropriate a, b, and c values. Now don't get this c value mixed up with this c value. Okay? If I did officially write this in standard form, let me go ahead and do that. I have a something x squared plus a something x plus, or in this case minus, your constant equal to 0. Whatever your number here is your appropriate a value. Whatever your number in the middle is your appropriate b value. And whatever your number in the last, your constant, is your appropriate c value. So this c here stands for our variable that we're trying to solve for. So let me write down the formula. In this equation, it is c equals, and then I'm going to sing it as I write it down from here on out. C equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now I need to plug in the appropriate a terms, my appropriate b terms, and my appropriate c terms here. So we have c is equal to negative, now my b value is 0, plus or minus square root, again my b value is 0 squared, minus 4 times my a value, which is 1, times my c value, which is negative 25, all over 2 times my a value, which is 1. So again, let me color code all of this for you. A's are in yellow, B's are in green, and your C is in that blue there. Okay. So I have plugged it into the quadratic formula. Now I need to simplify. So I have C is equal to, negative 0 doesn't make any sense whatsoever, so let me just list that as 0, plus or minus square root, 0 squared gives me 0. Now be careful here because I have a negative 4 times a negative 25. So this is actually going to become a positive. And 4 times 25 does give me a 100. This is all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So simplifying a little bit farther, I have C is equal to, I'm going to eliminate this 0 in the front because it's not needed. So all I have is plus or minus square root. 0 plus 100 gives me 100. And that's all over 2. If I simplify the square root of 100, that gives me 10. So on the top, I have plus or minus 10. divided by 2. And then last but not least, to divide these, I have C is equal to plus or minus 10 divided by 2 just gives me 5. So it gives me the exact same answers no matter what method I use, whether it's the factoring method, the square root method, or the quadratic formula method. This is where I'm going to stop this video, but in the next video I have, looks like 3 more examples to use the quadratic formula method on.